So it's limiting times that you can stay, right? Instead of 3 days or 5 days or whatever, it has to be a longer stay. The residents, the names have to match, whether they're family members, something like that are staying there.
But who's gonna go and validate all that?
Whoever the proper enforcing agent is.
Which is who?
It could be zoning officer if it's in here.
It's
If
not
that-
active, there is no.
Well, there is nothing, but if you have an appropriate borough official, whatever the complaint is, maybe it's fire, maybe they got 15 extension cords running outside, okay? Running air conditioners or so. You call the fire marshal, whoever, if he deems it, that it's his area, that's fine.
Okay,
If it's the building code official, that's fine. If it's the board of health, that's fine. If we put multiple agencies in there, I'm sure we'll be able to cover it.
And my point is that the fire marshal's been called, the building official's been called.
That was one incident
No,
that
it's
he was
not one
called.
incident, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, it was.
It's, Mr. Mayor, respectfully, I disagree. It's multiple incidents that have happened where the officials have been called and they've shown up.
And there wasn't an ordinance for
Mr.
them
Mayor,
to
can you let me
enforce.
finish, please? Okay. Multiple instances where the officials have shown up, right, and whatever was going on at the time, the people left, where they had fixed whatever infraction that was there, so they couldn't write a fine.
Right, they didn't find a proper violation to write anything.
So
That's
how
correct.
does this ordinance, as written,
I don't understand why the council is just getting it today.
I've heard you say that, but I don't disagree that something is needed. But I think that the ordinance should include the reasons why someone would be questioned for these violations. It doesn't include anything about what would provide an example of where we would know that there might be a possible violation, which would entitle an enforcing agent. And it could be, we could include in here that if we see violations that refer to fire code, or if there's no examples in here of what might give you an opportunity to go into that home and do these checks.
So I don't really think you have to give.
Well, the way under 31.4, it says, in the event that it appears that a particular property is in violation, it shall be up to the property owner's burden to establish the individual satisfied debt or family. So it sounds like that you can just simply request validation of everybody that's there to the property owner.
I didn't know we were talking about this, so I don't have these ordinance in front of me to reference it. Just focus on it now. I didn't know. Now,
correct.
correct, so I wasn't prepared with an ordinance or with my notes to discuss what you're discussing tonight.
Okay, we can discuss it next time, but that's,
I know, that delays it now another 2 weeks.
okay, but again, trying to be responsible and make sure that when we pass something, that it can be enforced. That's my opinion.
Can we all, as a board, be realistic that we have a part-time zoning officer?
Correct.
Let's be honest.
Yes.
So if we enact something and it's his day off, I know what happens, okay, he'll be called in, he'll take time and whatever. But would the council consider piggybacking or shared services with like a bigger town around here? And we just work something out? I mean, Morris Township has officers that strictly do with stacking. Morristown, forget about it, I think probably two of them. With one, what we're saying, we're putting a law in, but we got no sheriff.
So, they have enforcement agents here in town. They're here.
We have them part-time.
You call them, if somebody.
And if he's away,
If somebody calls at midnight, who's gonna go there? You
Exactly.
call them in. If somebody calls on Monday, you
And
call
if you got,
somebody
but
in.
at the moment, what we're saying is we don't have that capacity. We're small towns, we did this stuff though, we did this thing about probably 12 years ago with the, how many guests we can have, or borders, and it was a legal mess. Something's gotta be done, but, again, my thing is to pass a law, and don't have a sheriff that can go there and say, listen, you're under arrest, you're doing something wrong, 24/7, is gonna be hard. Is my feeling, so.
blowing this out of proportion.
I'm against passing an ordinance if you can't enforce it, sorry.
We can
It's a
enforce
false,
it, Sal.
yeah, but
We
it's
can
a false.
enforce every ordinance
it's a
that we
false
have
thing.
on the books.
It's a false sense of security we're telling the residents, listen, we did an ordinance to help you in case you have X, Y, Z, but guess what? We can't get somebody there today or something.
Well, that's not gonna happen.
I hope
It
so.
never happens.
Well, if you need my help, or, I'll be more than happy to.
How does it not happen today, Mr. Mayor?
Listen, we can go back and forth that's how the council's gonna proceed, then that's how the council will proceed. I said my piece, that's it. The residents are out here holding back with, they have an issue and a problem. We took care of some other issues and problems in town before this issue, that's been brought up. And here you have residents that are holding back for months now.
Well, and again, I'll say it again, right?
Say it, Bill, this should have been taken care of months ago.
But there is no solution to the problem. All you're doing is putting words on a piece of paper. When a resident calls up,
That's not true.
it is, when a resident calls up, it says, I have an issue, right, who responds, right? It's either our part-time zoning official, it's our part-time, or it's our fire official, or it's our, construction official, right? And there is nobody who has the authority, to my knowledge, and Mr. Rankin, can correct me if I'm wrong, but has the authority to go into a house if somebody just has a complaint, unless they see something that violates one of those
It
codes.
depends on the complaint, absolutely. But any official is available. If the fire marshal's on vacation and you have something, an incident where you need the fire marshal here, or on a Saturday or a Sunday, who are you gonna call? Or if there's an issue on, with fire, with some sort of fire thing, who do you call?
I don't know, you call,
I think we got a lot of ideas and, let's sit down and figure this out.
exactly.
Whatever we enact should be,
So, again, as I said, I'd like the council to consider what we can do so that we can enforce this correctly, and then we can move forward.
I sure hope this can be done in a timely fashion, like I asked at the last meeting to have this done in a timely fashion. It doesn't have to be taken care of here at a meeting. There are 2 weeks in between meetings where this can be discussed and figured out. So in the last 2 weeks, nothing was figured out from the last meeting. Nothing was worked on in the last 2 weeks.
Just a side note, I put an offer on a house on Mayfair, next to, I don't mind mentioning the name, but Michael Baza, and that became a rooming house or boarding house. It's been 10 years. So this could move up 10 years ago, right? Now we're pushing
But
it.
here we have it presented, Art, let's.
Let me finish.
It's the first
I
time
know,
it's been
but
presented.
why, like Sal said, why are we gonna just put something on paper? And I don't know if John hasn't spoken, but like, it's pretty limited on who can enter somebody else's house, right? That's private property.
Yeah, it depends on the type.
And Bill did circulate this in the past 2 weeks for discussion, and I've started some outside discussions about it, but haven't had the chance to circle back yet. But I think we can at least try to make it a focus for the next 2 weeks potentially, and see if we can get something on for the next meeting. I realize it's October, but it's also October 2nd, so, I know, and we have other ordinances that people are pressing on us as well, and we're trying to prioritize them, we're trying to work through them in a responsible manner. And from my understanding, a lot of the complaints seem to be too many people or cars, correct? So, there's nothing to zone it,
There's nothing-
none of those people are gonna be able to do anything about that. In my opinion, that's a police department enforcement issue, but if they're not doing anything wrong visibly, that's gonna be very hard to enforce. So I'm with you, and I want to fix the problem as well. I just, I agree, we need to do it responsibly, and I understand your point, Mayor, it's been a little bit of time, but I think, again, we want to be responsible, we wanna do it the right way, so we don't have something that can't be enforced, and then the problem is still there, but we have an ordinance that then we can't do anything. So I think if we can figure that last piece out, we can get it passed, and we can get it passed in 2 weeks.
You guys keep saying that it can't be enforced, it can be enforced. Anyway, moving on, this will hopefully be, ready next week for some sort of progress. Anybody else?
So just to clarify, this is based on a template that you found that's already enforced somewhere else?
There were, probably 3 towns, I think, that we put together that we were.
Okay, so they use similar language, and there's no specific like infractions mentioned,
No, I don't think so.
other than,
You remember?
No,
okay.
no. I actually talked to the majority of this ordinance, but what I did was Rosemary had secured a couple of samples from various municipalities around New Jersey. I went and found other ones though too, that were more specific to borough forms of government and whatnot. And the only hesitation I would have about putting specific violations or samples that is I don't want it then to be read when you go to court to enforce it, that it's limited solely to those types of sometimes when you do that, you don't achieve individually. So, that would be my only concern about that. I mean, you know, whether or not you can go in front door or whatnot, and who can do it, and things of that nature, are all governed under different state and federal statutes. You don't have to necessarily have a triggering event in your ordinance. I mean, you know, I see all points of this. But, there are instances where the municipal official that we do have could enforce this ordinance without question. You know, housing authorities do have a little bit more authority, but, it's more of a discussion for council, either way.
So we would have, an official of the borough would have more jurisdiction to enter someone's home than a police officer?
No, no.
No, if there was no clear violation that they were entered, like they have to have a warrant in some cases to go in and all that, so this is a more lenient situation. Because it's not a law.
It is, but it depends upon the nature of the complaint. So, I mean, so we
If
can't
the
just.
neighbor calls it in, they
Yeah,
can just.
Right, you can't just say, oh, there's 3 cars in the driveway, and the next thing you know, you go in and you night vision goggles on. It doesn't work like that.
But if there's a complaint about 15 people in one home, and there may be concerns about where people are sleeping, or their accommodations, or something like that, which this ordinance is trying to kind of curtail a little bit, that would be enforceable. Anybody else? Just two other things that I do have. I asked Jerry and the rec department, I think we may have been late to that meeting, to install a TV in the community center instead of the board that they put the names or groups that are in the community center today. They have the screen up on the wall so people can look at the screen there and see the boards, the letters on it. And then they can advertise different events. I believe Jerry brought that up in his last.
Speak up.
I believe that Jerry brought that up in his last rec meeting. The other thing that I've been really pressing the chief on, and he's been diligent in accepting all my texts and phone calls about, and he knows it's a big problem, is e-bikes. So, I mean, just recently, we've had disasters in this state with e-bikes, and there are some departments and other agencies or whatever that have really been proactive in trying to curtail some of that, so, Mike has, really been, I know he wants to scream every time his phone goes off, but I've really been pumping him with a lot of information, and he knows a lot of information, and probably more than I do about it, but that's something that, really has to be addressed. I'm sure the chief is addressing that, maybe with some other ordinances or whatever, so hopefully again we'll see something soon with that. So that's all I have for conference. Moving on to approval of minutes. Mr. Cortez.
Thank you, Mayor. I, Sal Cortez, move the conference executive and regular minutes of September the 4th be approved.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The ayes have it.
I, Sal Cortez, move that the conference executive and regular meeting of September 18th be approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Groom. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The ayes have it.
They have to take a word first.
Take your time.
Okay. Approval of consent agenda. Resolution number 2025-123 entitled Resolution Authorizing Sale of Christmas Trees and Related Items at the DFW Post 3401, Route 53. Resolution 2025-124 entitled Resolution Approving the Issuance of a Soil Disturbance Permit. Resolution 2025-125 entitled Redemption Resolution Block Number 22 Redeemed Third-Party Tax Lien Number 24-00001. Christian Kuznacek. Is that right?
No,
You're Polish.
you butchered that one, Sal. That's why I didn't say it.
Kazakhstan, having received register certification of the state of New Jersey as certified municipal register, receiving a 5% increase in his base salary effective September 19, 2025. Should I apologize? I'm Italian, so the Polish words are hard for me. Michelle Cohen, 66 Whitney Avenue, be appointed a member of the Municipal Alliance, which term expires December 31st, 2026. The Borough Clerk published the proper notice of time change for the regular scheduled meeting of the mayor and council of the Borough of Morris Plains to be held Thursday, October 16th, 2025, from 7:30 to 6 p.m. to interview police officer candidates. Police Officer Jake Zelenchi be granted the appropriate increase and prorated to June 2nd, 2025 for successfully completing and graduating the Morris County Public Safety and Training Academy Basic Police Officer class. Police Officer Emilio Erickson be Emilio Erickson be granted the appropriate increase prorated to June 2nd, 2025 for successfully completing and graduating the Morris County Public Safety and Training Academy Basic Police Officer class. Hannah Sanicola be hired as a substitute crossing guard for the police department at a daily rate of $90 pending a physical examination. Wyatt Dunn, 99 Oakland Avenue, Rockaway, be hired as a probationary laborer for the Department of Public Works at an hourly rate of $21.91, effective October 6, 2025. Award of contract 2025E, installation of light poles and wiring to O'Malley Electric LLC for the low bid of $38,890, subject to the Borough Attorney's review of the bid documents, and that the mayor is hereby authorized to execute the contract with O'Malley Electric LLC on behalf of the Borough of Morris Plains.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mike, roll call please.
Mr. Cortez?
Yes.
Mr. Grimm?
Yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mr. Ivy?
Yes.
Mr. Pontier?
Yes.
Ms. Berger?
Okay, we move on to reports of committees and department heads, finance, Ms. Berger.
Everybody, Rosemary Rosemary, help me out. Thank you.
I'm not the only one.
She had her first day as municipal clerk on October 1st, and she's been training Christian Kazimsak in vital statistics, death and birth certificates, and resolutions. And also, they've been working in that office on 6-month parking permit renewals. And speaking of Christian, he's, as you see on the agenda, he's already passed his required courses to become a certified municipal registrar, and also is a notary, and is continuing his clerk classes. The office is preparing for open enrollment for employee medical coverage, and the borough is still exploring options for joining the health insurance fund to save based on our good claims experience. Joining the HIF will not impact this open enrollment process or the benefit plans for our employees. Lastly, under that department, I met with Rosemary to discuss questions that she had about the personnel policy procedure manual, which we received back from our labor attorney. It was sent subsequently to all department heads for their review and comment by Friday, October 10th. Then we will follow up with the attorneys with their consolidated feedback and questions on the document from all departments. In finance, Anna continues to train our new assistant to the tax collector, and she's working on our best practices inventory. So the 2025 inventory is required by the Division of Local Government Services in every year, and it assesses every municipality's compliance with various laws and evaluates the implementation of fiscal and operational best practices. The answers on this inventory provide taxpayers with an additional means of evaluating our performance. The answers are compiled and will be shared with council members in the coming weeks that Anna's working on. Then we will discuss them and vote on the release of that information at an upcoming public meeting, and it will be submitted on to the DCA by October 24th deadline. The borough has always had good compliance on this document. The questions do change year to year, and the outcome of how we score can impact the municipality's final formula for state aid payment. Topics include things like budgeting practices, personnel practices, procurement, shared services, and transparency. Finally, the IRS has announced that unless delayed, it will begin phasing out paper refund checks after September 30th, 2025, with most refunds being delivered electronically. So direct deposit, prepaid cards, or digital wallets. And they plan to publish detailed guidelines before the 2026 tax filing season.
Okay, fantastic. And really, congratulations to Christian already for getting his certificate, Rosemary for coming clerk, and congratulations to Roseanne also for being clerk here for quite a long time, more than 13-year employees. So congratulations. Public safety, Mr. Pontieri.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Always a lot going on there. PD held their third open house prior to the council meeting this evening. This again is for residents to tour the department, get an idea of the current working conditions and facilities, even just meet some of the officers, hoping that this will help keep residents informed and updated so they can make an informed decision when the referendum does go on the ballot in November. There's going to be another open house October 16th, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. before the council meeting. There's also going to be a public information session October 7th that Chief Karofsky himself is going to head. Again, just a great opportunity to ask questions and really get some answers, express concerns, but just really have a public discussion about it. We're going to be, as I said earlier, interviewing the final 2 police officer candidates prior to the next meeting as well. If chosen, it looks like November 1st would be the target date for who we choose. This would put the police roster back up to 19 officers as well. We had a traffic committee meeting yesterday, October 1st. We discussed some traffic improvements and strategies on Grannis Ave, American Road, Littleton Road, East Hanover Ave, and Glenbrook Road. We discussed the stop sign project at Mountain Way in Glenbrook, which does seem to be working pretty well so far. We also had a Complete and Green Streets Committee meeting on September 24th. It was our first one, and I thought it went very well. We established a time and format for future meetings. We went over some problematic intersections. We had each person on the committee go to the busiest corner near their home and take pictures and stand there for 30 minutes and then come and make some recommendations just based on what they saw. And it was really amazing hearing some of those stories. We have a disabled person who can't get around the town very easily, and hearing her stories just about what she can and can't do was extremely eye-opening. So I'm really hoping we can make a difference and make Morris Plains just that much more of a commutable, town or borough for people of, all walks of life, so to say. All right, and we're gonna next be looking at a lot of the best practices that the state has and putting Morris Plains at the forefront. We're going to meet 5 or 6 more times in the next 6 months in order to write up and recommend policy to the council. Fire prevention had over 100 inspections this month. Chris is going to be attending a CEU class on October 21st. This is part of 9 classes that he has to do over 3 years that keeps his license in line. He's also working on a few major complaints, and he's working with the fire department to get ready for the bonfire that's coming up.
Maybe.
Typically I give a little fire update, but I do see a couple fire chiefs back there. If one of them wants to come and give an update.
First, we need some rain to get these bonfires, so.
We're gonna
We're gonna start off with the fire chief tonight instead of the police chief.
So many times saying, no, it doesn't rain in Morris Plains. Gotta let it rain, gotta let it
Well,
rain.
you have the fire department can have a drill there for pumping out the
We're
pond.
gonna have to, we'll have a drill there Monday night.
There you go.
We got a car. We'll have a vehicle education drill, Monday night. I wanna give kudos to Chief of Police for all he's doing. With his, plans with the building and everything. Put a lot of time and work into it. He's doing a good job. Keep up the good work. We're at 348 calls for the year. I guess I will be doing an education drill at the pool somewhere up there, maybe in the pool. Monday night. So if anybody wants to come up and watch us, you're more than welcome. The 20th, we'll be going over to Fairchild. There's a swift water rescue awareness class. So we'll be attending that. We got a bonfire coming up. We got Halloween coming up. So we're busy this month.
status on the first new vehicle?
Still in the works.
The video number?
Yeah, that's, still in the works, hopefully soon.
What do you mean in the works?
Being built.
It's not been, it's being scheduled to be built.
Oh, so not by the end of the year?
Yeah,
Oh.
well, it's 18 months, so.
I thought it was-
It was a little 18 months, so you're probably looking at February, March. But try to prolong things out. I don't know if you've been watching the senators grilling these fire departments, or fire apparatus dealers, their owners. Yeah, there's a problem.
Yep.
There's a big problem.
Big problem.
I know I'm not, don't wanna speak for Chris, but on the ordinance thing, yes, you're right. We are not allowed as fire department, fire officials to walk into somebody's house. Chris has answered complaints, he's been there, he's watched, I do believe he himself and the, zoning officer have been at that residence and with the owner of the residence, and nothing was there. I think what you need to do is you need to hold the owner of the property liable, responsible. You need to drag him in front of a judge. You can't keep relying on the services here to keep going into these houses. You can't, we're not allowed to. So,
So, but they were in the house, and they were able to gain access with permission, they did that, they did the inspection within 24 hours. They couldn't find anything,
there's nothing there.
right? But, listen, I understand, I get it, you know, but there's more than just that, right? There's more than that. And,
And as far as, you know, time for the ordinance, we've been waiting for ordinances for longer than this. Look how long it took for the apartment ordinance. That's why we need the apartment ordinance, so we can get in there and see these people.
okay, very good.
That's it.
Thank you.
Are you doing any, at the pool, you're gonna do some training, you said, or testing?
We're gonna cut a park. It's a,
You guys go to scuba or training now? The pool holds water. You saw
no,
that?
I don't wanna go, I don't wanna.
No?
go there.
All right,
I don't wanna
give you
go
the
there.
option in case you find it,
I
right?
don't wanna go there with that, 'cause you know, I hold two hats, you know, I hold two hats in this town, and I don't wanna even talk about that right
Sal, the Yankees are on.
now. Yeah.
You better wait.
Thank you, chief.
All right, thank you.
Chief.
Good evening, as Councilman Pontier alluded to, the Town Hall Style Forum is Tuesday, October 7th, at 7 p.m. Looking at a way to live stream that, so if you can't attend in person, it'll be live streamed to our Facebook page or some way, shape, or form, and then recorded so we can redistribute that. Please come ask questions, share your concerns, we're happy to hear them. And again, take advantage of our tours. One more remaining that I will officially be here for prior to the council meeting on the 16th. If you're unable to make that, I'm usually in the office by 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. Send me an email. I'll stay as late as I need to get as many people through to see the conditions that we're working with. Our ride-along applications are approved at the last council meeting are online. Sergeant Rolfe, thank you very much for putting that up on our website, PDF fillable. You want to come out and see what the day in the life of a police officer is, what our officers are doing on a day-to-day basis. That also starts with a tour of the agency and then allows the individual 16, you have to have a parent with you, 18 and over. Our bunch come out 4, 5, 6 hours, see the day in the life of Morris Plains police officers. So when you drive by us and say, what is that officer doing? They can explain exactly what we're doing, so. Looking into having a pizza with the police, we're adapting our coffee with the cops and things to be pizza with the police. Made a connection on a motor vehicle stop with a young lady who works at Adams Avenue. I just feel like that's a kind of a disenfranchised section of town with a larger family population there. So we're looking at October 30th, having pizza with the police, buying a couple pies, going into that all-purpose room and just saying hello. So making an introduction to how Morris Plains does law enforcement services. Drug take back, October 25th, Stop and Shop, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Drop off your unused, unwanted, unneeded prescription medications, and as always, we have the municipal building drop box as well. As the mayor alluded to, we've been doing a lot of work on the e-bikes. Mr. Yushin, thank you for your input and exchanging emails on a proposed ordinance. We've been kicking that around for a little bit more than a week, but we're gonna get something on paper. We just wanna make sure that's right as well. And then, got a PowerPoint presentation. I'm gonna work with the superintendent, try to get in front of the kids in the community to let them know, about the safety issues and concerns, and that if they're on a vehicle, they have to follow all the traffic laws. But then it comes down to, again, the parents at home, have the conversation with your kids. We don't wanna punish them, but we wanna prevent the tragedy in town. So please, please, please have that conversation, make sure they're wearing helmets. Really inspect what you're buying, the kids. It's not as easy as, moped license they used to have way back in the day as a kid. These things are doing 30 and 40 miles an hour, and we're gonna end up with a major incident here that we're trying to prevent. So, had about a dozen people or so take our tour this evening. A lot of great questions, some of it prompted by, I understand, a newsletter that was distributed throughout town pointing to the accreditation proofs and the standards. There are 400 proofs and 112 standards, but when you look at those standards for the law enforcement holding cell function, again, 5 chapters: administrative, personnel, operations, investigative, and then the final chapter is arrestee, detainee. There's only 3 of those standards that point to our actual interactions with prisoners. There's a designated space for those individuals in the holding area that we have, that we're looking for modifications to for officer safety reasons and for safety of the individual in custody. Individuals of different genders, when we have multiple arrests, have to be separated by sight and sound. We don't have that availability. We resolved that by putting up a piece of placard board over the holding cell window, and the rest of it revolves around training of staff and records keeping. So I just want to answer a couple of questions that were prompted by that newsletter that went out throughout the borough. But the only way to really tell about it is to come see pictures worth 1,000 words. Come see the space for yourself. With that, if there's any questions, comments, concerns about anything going on in the borough, please let me know.
Good, thank you, Chief. Moving on to Public Works, Mr. Drew.
Thank you. The DPW is doing a lot, as they always do every day. They worked on police vehicles and our regular town vehicles. They do the dirty work, picking up garbage in all the parks, and we've added some dog disposal waste stations, which have overfilled, so they're taking care of that dirty job, and we thank them for all that. Changed locked at the sewer stations, finished painting the crosswalks in town, which look great, they're bright and visible. They unfortunately winterized the pool, so it is officially over, no more swimming. And they put the leaf boxes on the big dump trucks, so they can start to collect leaves next week. And they painted the teen center, completed a round of brush, cleaned up the Glenbrook extension, and ran generators and cleaned sewers 2 times a period, so we thank them for all they did.
So I think this is the last round of brush, right, through the winter, right? So the residents.
Get your brush out.
Yeah, I think they'll make a quick round, but it was last week really, and, yeah, it was, so I think that's the end of the brush unless there's a couple stragglers out there, so.
We can bring it up to the bonfire if we have it.
No, don't suggest that. Thank you, sir. Public Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Cortez.
Chief, I couldn't agree, and you know how much I've been talking about for a couple of years now with these e-bikes. My concern last night, the lights were turning right here on 202 and Hanover Avenue, right between the red and the green. There was a kid that flew, no helmet, and had his music on, at least 30 miles an hour, right through there. I said, oh my Lord, God forbid. But I hope that the state or somebody does something to regulate them, because that was my fear, that everyone's gonna have one and it's gonna be a problem. Anyway.
Certainly a lot of chatter about that.
Yeah, so, anyway, I start off with Shade Tree, with no monthly August meeting. The September meeting had a lot of work to discuss, around $11,000 in work between tree pruning and tree removals, was approved by the commission. Their fall planting project has begun. Letters were sent out to homeowners who had trees removed in 2024 and 2025, asking if they would like a tree planted in its place. Starting in October's meeting, the commission will be approving the planting of the trees that homeowners have agreed. More letters will be sent out after the October meeting as we strive to get our annual tree planting goals. So spread the word, whoever wants a tree, call. Recreation. I wasn't late at the meeting, I couldn't make it. So I had an event, my apologies, and I did ask Jerry to meet with me and the clerk and Anna. We met for a couple of hours that day, and we did a lot of housekeeping. And we went over all the parks, we went over bathrooms, cleanups, parks, sports organizations, camp, pool, think we covered everything. And this is again a tribute to Morris Plains and the rec department. The season just barely closed, and they're already trying to work on how to improve it for our residents. God bless is all I can say. Recreation 2023 Volunteer Year Award had little responses when it was first rolled out in the beginning of the year. The community has an opportunity to submit nominations to the recreation director until October 22nd. If you know of anyone who's done a lot of things just out of the heart, get his name out, he should be recognized. A calendar contest will be presented to the community by the end of the month. Participants will submit photos of the town and will have an opportunity to vote on their favorites in December 2026 for sale in the fall. Recreation is looking for a local cheerleading coach for K through second grade, if anybody knows anyone. We got some programs that are upcoming. That's, mark on your calendars, garage sales, October 4th. Everybody has about 40 participants. There's a town-wide bonfire, October 25th. Keep our fingers crossed that we get some rain. And, to my surprise, the indoor pickleball court at Community Center has not that many people, and all because of the great weather. We're all over there a lot now. But I'm sure as soon as it gets a little colder, they'll fill it up because it's so hot. We also had a meeting at the affordable housing with the mayor, myself, and the people there at the Davenport Village, and we talked about a lot of things. And when I went there, I remember when that went up, I was so impressed on the quality and how everything held up so well. And they also received, I don't know if you guys had a chance to go look at the trees and the new sidewalks on 53, that's part of the town, right before 10 there. They did a great job, which gives them more accessibility, and we'll see what happens with that. Another meeting I had was with beautification, very interesting, on Ramos Garden. And with Nancy Christie, we went, and Sheila, and a couple more people, I can't remember their names, so I should know them. We went through every tree, and made some notes there. The DPW had those gator things, some of them were full, some of them were empty. The next day, they were all filled. There were some trees that had the deer protection, was choking the tree. The next day, they were removed. I cannot say enough about DPW and the many hats they wear in town, and I know people, that's all they do is complaints. And I'll tell you, they come through and they're really, well, I think we're so lucky to have them. I know other towns where they don't work that hard, like our guys do. What else do I have? Oh, we have our contracts coming up with the police. So we had a meeting with the mayor, myself, and Tyler. We went over the whole contract and getting ready for hopefully resolving this by the end of the year. It's our intention. Lastly, one more thing, I'm sorry. The pool, the task force at the community park. I've got a whole bunch of emails. We shut down the job, but I'll be honest with you, there's certain things that we're concerned about. It has to do with hydrology. We're getting the right people to work on it. We met with the contractor. He's okay to extend the final coating till the spring. It's sad that it happened, but to do that would be very wasteful. We're not a wasteful board here. So we're gonna get to the bottom of it, we're gonna resolve it, and then once we do that, we can put the final coat. If we were to do that now, I don't know if it would hold up. So sadly, the tennis courts are closed. You can blame me, I'm sorry. But I just didn't feel comfortable with the way the work was going and what I saw. And it was something unpredictable. I'm not gonna blame the contractor at all. It has to do strictly with hydrology, and it can be fixed. So we're on it. That's all I got, man. Shut up.
We hire somebody in the road department here, and we wish him good luck to help with these guys, and keep them all well, so that's good. And, okay. So, public health sanitation schools, Mr. Ivy.
Hey, Mayor. So for Teen Center, their last event was the 8th grade event. They had 22 kids show up, so that's about 82% of the registered group there, so that was a great showing. Board of Health Wellness Day is still on October 18th. I'm gonna make sure that date's correct. 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then I'm also exploring a community composting service where a bin would be placed in a centralized location in the borough and be picked up and replaced with a brand new clean one every month. So I'm trying to see if there's some interest in possibly begin a pilot program like that.
Who picks that up?
It's an external service that's out of this area, so Milburn, Maplewood, going on. So, it could be, yes. So, and I was as we've read in the consent calendar, Michelle Cohen has been added to the Municipal Alliance. She has outstanding experience and skills from her professional career, so we're thrilled to have her on the Alliance. And next week we'll be busy. Board of Health, the Alliance, and Teen Center boards will all be meeting that week, so I'll have a much longer update for this week.
Just piggybacking on what Mr. Cortez said about that calendar, they've also been in contact with the Centennial Committee too. Make it part of the Centennial. That was with everybody talking, reaching out to the church.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention the farmer's market. What's going on this weekend? Forgive me.
That's okay. This weekend
The
we're
mayor was hitting me to hurry up.
this weekend we're having a food drive for JBWS. So we ask the community to please, if you have the ability to bring some food items for them, we will be collecting that. It's our Day of Giving campaign. We also have music at the farmers market this weekend as well. So we invite everybody to please come down, come shop, and come and enjoy it.
What a wonderful talk. People need food. Get your boxes over there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Forgive me.
Ordinances and public utilities, Mr. Houston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last meeting, I introduced draft notes on ordinance 1423. I have received notes from a few council members, so thank you for that. I've also met with Plan Better Morris Plains and received their notes as well. I will say that, we do have some very intelligent and motivated members of the public. The collective skill sets that they have and the expertise that they bring is really fascinating. So the next step here is to pull all these notes together and then come back with a recommendation to the council of a revised ordinance. On the utilities update, so Chief Growski sent me a message about the lights at Simon Park and how they appear to be inadequate for property lighting the parking lot in the field. And then Councilman Bruin also sent me a concern regarding one of the light bulbs that is out on a pole by Keenan and Columbia. So I've got a message out to Bob Flynn, JCP&L, so we're gonna have them take a look at both of those items. Mr. Mayor, regarding the poor Verizon cell service that you brought up last meeting, yep, I reached out to Verizon. My contact at Verizon, Brandon, he has gotten back to me, but not definitively with any response yet. So I'm gonna keep pounding him until.
That's the pole by your house, right?
It's not a pole, it's a service area,
Service
over by Community Park.
Oh.
Last meeting, the mayor brought it up, the chief brought it up, right, it's a concern for not only residents, but also emergency personnel as well, right? So, I've expressed the, urgency to which it needs to be taken care of, so, once I hear something back, I'll let you know.
It seems to be getting worse, right? I can't even get Nancy
My
on the
phone
phone.
does not ring anymore. I do not get a call
Okay.
when I'm home on my phone.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gotten considerably worse.
Okay. All
It's
right.
kind of worse, my blood pressure went down a little bit, though. I don't have any colds.
Well, like I said, I've expressed the urgency, and I will, of course, let you know when we get a response back and who's gonna take care of it and where it goes, so. So on the application process update, so, all of the notes for the planning board and the zoning board have been collected. The planning board is now gonna review at their next meeting on October 20th. And then, I've been meeting with the committee, which again is myself, Bill Ryden, Mike Ervaglia, and Dave Schultz on Friday, October 17th. We're just gonna discuss, obviously that's before the planning board meeting, but we're gonna discuss what the next steps are, provided the planning board puts all the notes together. Next planning board meeting is Monday, October 20th, 7:30 here in this room. The next zoning board meeting zoning board adjustment meeting is Monday, October 27th at 7:30 here in this room. And that is all the updates I have.
Well, good, thank you, sir. This time I'd like to invite any members of the public who have a comment to come up, state your name and address. And your comment.
Here you go. Joanne Dugan, 31 Canfield. Okay. Earlier, you guys were talking about enforcement. I'd like to know, what about the enforcement of the construction demolition rules for the Friendly's property? Saturday, September 20th, Jill, Cecile, and I had to enforce the rules laid out by the town regarding the demolition, i.e. letting down the site to mitigate dust on a Saturday. We spoke to a patrol officer, Morris Plains, and the chief, who were incredibly helpful and documented everything. I just want to know who is supposed to enforce these rules when the part-time person isn't available. I have video of the infractions, dust clouds everywhere. The part-time construction officer cannot be available. Bill, he's great, I'm not throwing him under the bus whatsoever, but somebody needs to be available to enforce these rules, especially on a Saturday. I spent half my Saturday running around documenting all these things, which is unacceptable. So I want to know, who do I call when I see an infraction?
So first, you did the right thing. You called them, they got the ball rolling. The contractor did call the construction official when that incident happened, just to let him know and touch bases with them. I don't know the whole story. I don't know what you saw or what you didn't see.
I have video, if you'd like to see
Okay,
it.
yeah, but I don't know what you saw or didn't see, and, you know, the contractor told Bill that afternoon, within a couple of minutes, when that truck wasn't working or whatever.
The water truck was not there.
So he talked to Bill, so, I know that Bill is available, and you did the right thing on a Saturday or whenever, when somebody's not around. There's nobody there policing the site 24/7, but what you did was the right thing. and you got
Right,
the
but
ball rolling.
it's after the fact, like, this dust was flying everywhere, and it's great
The
that it was
contractor-
recorded and documented, but the stuff is still in the air.
The contractor should be responsible enough to do what is required for the job.
Well, they're not.
So, but like I said, you did the right thing, you've got that ball rolling. Since then, Bill had another conversation with the contractor, and I think everybody is on the same page.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't feel like it's my responsibility to be standing out there with my phone documenting all this stuff.
Yeah, but just like every other construction site, no matter where it is in town, we don't have any town doesn't have anybody standing on the job sites whenever a contractor is working. That's not one of them.
But the thing is that this dust is going into the air in our neighborhood. And it's too late by that point.
I believe there are parameters, again, that were set and made specific that contractor has to follow. With,
Can I get a list of what those parameters are?
You certainly can get a list with Bill. I can have him get in touch with you if you want,
Okay.
and he'll give you what was talked about.
Okay, and one other quick question. I was wondering when we can expect the signs for the overweight trucks on Dayton, Canfield, Academy, Hillview, Rosedale, and the other streets that are listed on the ordinance. There's no signs.
No, then there won't be any signs until the DOT, I think it was brought up at the last meeting, until the DOT approves the ordinance.
Okay, so how is that supposed to be enforced if there's no sign?
It can't be enforced until we get approval of the sign.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but the ordinance, it is an enforceable ordinance. I know that the DOT has to approve the signs, but,
The chief, I'll let the chief answer that.
I mean, there are, let me just, before the chief answers, right? There are other roads, that were previously on that ordinance that have a 4-ton restriction that don't have signs.
Yes.
So they are, it's enforceable, unless the chief tells me I'm wrong, but just by virtue of having a sign doesn't mean it's not enforceable.
There's a difference between enforcement and knowledge of a violation, so without signage on those streets, you know, we'll stop a motorist and let them know, hey, in the future, but, you know, it's kind of senseless to write somebody a summons if they're not knowledgeable of the violation that they're making. So, we're waiting on the DOT before we mount those signs. You know, could an officer stop a vehicle and let them know they're in violation of that? Yes, but they're gonna stop them and just initial that initial warning. We can document it with, you know, a verbal warning or an actual written warning, but again, to hand somebody a substantial fine without knowledge of that, and that's what we're waiting on the DOT for, and,
So is there a contact at the DOT, either chief that you've been with, or Mr. Mayor, you've been in contact with?
I have not been in contact with, I don't know
We just actually got a response back from the DOT on an unrelated matter with the flashing beacons, so that process is in the works, so tomorrow morning, first thing I step into the office, or even tonight when I go downstairs, I'll send the contact information, I'll connect the three of us on that, Siobhan.
Yeah, but it did, I don't think it went to there, it went through the clerk's office, so I don't know who the clerk,
I can just make a simple inquiry on where we stand with it. I know that, yeah, the initial notification with the ordinance did go through the clerk's office, but, Rosemary, I'll work with you on
Yeah,
that.
just work with you, see if it's the same person.
If you don't mind, keep me copied on that.
Will do,
I'd
sir.
like
Yep,
to
absolutely.
Call up her.
Just a quick question for you. Do you know how long that ordinance has been in effect for the streets that weren't just added?
So I'm going on memory, and I had to go back and look at the other ones. But I believe the first time that ordinance came about was sometime in the 90s.
Sounds about right, but
Yeah.
I think they've added roads, but.
Yeah, too.
I don't know. No,
So-
not these roads, but they've added some.
Right, so can you tell me why there were no signs for the roads that have been there since the 90s? It seems a little bit, you know, you were saying his ordinance took a long time. I think that's a long
They
time.
were there more now.
I remember when I was on the traffic committee, they were saying that there's so many rules, like there's parking rules, right, there's the truck rule, and people don't want signs on their front yard, so people will be like, no, I don't really want that sign. So, like, so, right, so the streets they didn't want the signs, even though.
Nobody ever asked me, I've lived on that street for 65 years,
Okay.
and nobody ever asked me. So,
So
All right.
either way, thank you for your comments. I'll look into the signage. And just a note on the enforcement of it. I understand, obviously, it's a very hot button issue for all the residents that live over there.
That's why I think-
Remember, I used to live over there.
I know.
So I do understand, and I can tell you that I've spoken with Bill O'Connor. He does drive by on his days off sometimes.
and I'm not throwing
No,
him
no,
under
I
the bus
understand,
at all.
I understand. But I do think that the issue brought up is a valid issue that I think the council needs to consider, is
Yeah.
that we don't have full-time officials.
Right, and this was a
Right.
Saturday.
And I'm not saying that a full-time official would necessarily solve the problem, right? Because to the mayor's point, right, we can't have somebody sitting there 24 hours a day, right? But maybe it would help mitigate some of that, and it's just a suggestion. But I do think it's something that the council needs to look at, so I appreciate you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Violations that have been issued to that, for the, repeated deaths?
I don't know specifically about violations, maybe the mayor does, but I
So there were 2 violations issued there, and I believe they were taken care of.
That was a long time, that
Yeah,
was the
those,
asbestos.
I understand, but those are the only 2 that I know of. There could be others, but I don't know.
Right, the stop work permits were issued when they were doing demo prior to doing that, but recently, I'm not aware of any, violations being issued, but I can follow up with Bill to see if there is any, offense that can be,
It seems like it's a repeated problem.
Yeah, and like I said, if anybody on the council would like to see my video, I have 3 videos of the dust spewing everywhere, so. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne.
Hi, good evening, Mike Bosman, 9 Mayfair Road. I was coming initially tonight to ask you about the status of the rooming house ordinance. Heard all the dialogue, and I just wanted to make a couple points about some of what I heard. So first and foremost, it's not a parking issue. It's people, unrelated people, moving in and out, okay, of homes in single-family zoning districts. The way you can tell is you can almost set your watch to, okay? It happens where I am every month, almost on the month. Somebody's moving out, somebody's moving in. And if they belong there, they wouldn't be doing it under the cover of night, okay? And they're moving in furniture, they're moving in mattresses, and again, it's almost every single month. So my understanding, and I may not have this right, is that every time there's a change in tenancy, there's supposed to be a fire inspection. Okay, so that is, I would think when the fire inspector could go in. As I mentioned last month, for me, it's a safety issue. If you have, multiple rooms inside a single-family home are being rented out. And I don't know, again, I don't know who has access to the kitchen, who doesn't, do they have hot plates in their rooms, do they have space heaters in their rooms, whatever. It's a hazard, and we don't know who's coming or going. And the only other thing I wanted to say was, I appreciate it's difficult to enforce, obviously based on what Ms. Dugan was just talking about, there's a lot of things that are difficult to enforce. But it doesn't mean that we don't establish rules and regulations to, that we have standards and we have laws. And I fully agree with Chief Rondo, I think it's something I mentioned last month as well. Find the owner of the property. He was here once, and he yesed everybody to death, and he said he was gonna take care of it, and he did nothing. And he's collecting his rent every month, and he's got no consequences whatsoever.
So there was a violation issued to him after the zoning official was over in that neighborhood today, and spoke with some of the residents and issue, if he didn't already. He knows the law.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. And I agree, I think we need to hold the owners responsible, because it definitely starts at the top.
The owner's responsibility.
Right, so I think we're going to find a way where we can best do that, and we can hold them accountable. Because I do think if they are held enough accountable, it will stop. If there's, I don't want to say a threat, but something in place that's gonna, prohibit them from doing that moving forward, so
I agree.
we're definitely on it.
Thank you.
Well,
I'm Tracy Flanagan, 15 Mayfair Road. I don't like doing this. I think I'm kind of beleaguering the point because Mike just made a lot of very good ones, but I just, on my own behalf, would like to speak our piece. I feel that there are safety issues and ordinance issues on Mayfair Road and elsewhere on Morris Plains. I can speak of my own experience, and I see more of an immediate hazard as well as a town responsibility at hand than many of you might seem to see. I have contacted an attorney who told me that since our town is not cooperating because we have been working on this, coming to meetings and having separate meetings and relying on phone calls to council people, that we might want to contact the Division of Consumer Affairs in Trenton. I would prefer to start here with all of you. Since we were last here at a council meeting in February 2023, I believe we have had at least 10 to 20 new tenants come and go, which is unnerving. Not to know who lives on your street literally from month to month. Bill, with all due respect, I have reached out to you on February 20th, April 3rd, and September 4th, and was told you would address this with Mr. Carr and the council. I realize it's not the only thing on your docket, but after 18 months, I would have appreciated more attention than this. There are air conditioners in almost every window, although the home has central air. We have pictures of space heaters going into the home. Additionally, there appears to be no means of egress for people inhabiting the attic. I can practically reach out and touch the home from mine, and Chris Shea has been responsive to come and inspect when we did know of someone moving in, and we were able to get him there at a time he happened to have been on duty and working. But now they have taken to moving people in under the cover of darkness. I now have rats on my property. Because of 8 or 9 unlidded garbage cans, we called the Board of Health, who saw this home as a possible source and knocked on their door to advise that there were possible consequences from their tall grass and overgrown shrubs and the aforementioned overflowing garbage cans, but there has been no remediation to those issues. I would like to think that our town has something in our current ordinances and enforcement already in place to encourage homeowners to do this maintenance and or upkeep, and as well as the wording which I have been told needed tightening, and believe that we have enforcement available already in place to prohibit boarding house situation, not just on Mayfair, but all over Morris Plains. I truly believe that if this was occurring on one of your streets, more attention may have been paid to it by now. And sadly, I hope that this is not politically motivated, that no one wants to to try to assist us. Thank you.
I noticed there was a property maintenance issue that was, someone for. Can't hear you. So I know it was a property maintenance issue that the property owner was or is going to get a sum for, so we do have stuff in place. But again, this is trying to tighten those up, and Don was involved with putting this ordinance together, so he's fully aware, and, he thought it was good, and, didn't have an issue with it. So he thought it was definitely a step in the right direction.
Thank you.
So, we'll see what happens here in the next couple of weeks, but hopefully we'll get some sort of relief for your neighborhood. Sure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Eileen Claffey. I live at 12 Maker Road. I'm across the street. I just want to let you know that in some of these meetings that we've had with council members and with Don, we were told that a family is a one-family home, and we were told that a one-family home means that it has one way to get in, and